Ba-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, I think I'm live. Seems like I'm live. Or am I only Memorex? So how's it going, everybody? It's a nice Sunday morning in Las Vegas. It was about 80 degrees at a little before 6 a.m. this morning. I think we're getting to 111 or so today. And where I'm at in Vegas, that means probably more in the 113 to 115 range. Oh, thank you. Yeah, In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. Love that show. Always fun. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a skeptic about a lot of stuff, but I'm always open. Like, show me that show me some evidence, like genuine evidence, and I'm in 100%. I don't deny some of these things might be real, but I also don't necessarily believe they're real without seeing some evidence. But I always enjoy listening to things about Bigfoot and UFOs and ghosts and all that stuff. It's all interesting to me, and I listen to I listen to Art Bell every once in a while, some of the old stuff, obviously. I watched David Paulides, his Missing 411. I think it's Missing 411. Very interesting stories on there. Watch Skinwalker Ranch. I've been enjoying that this season. And I especially like the somewhat more scientific approach of like, we're trying to measure things. We don't know what the hell we're seeing, but it's interesting as hell. And then my daughter got me into watching, it was on, now it's Watcher, Ghost Files. It used to be on, what the hell was it called? I can't think of it now. 112. I'm not sure what my wife is telling me with 112. It's a secret code, apparently. But at any rate, yeah, it's the thing with Shane and Ryan where they go look for ghosts. And I'm officially a Shaniac because I don't necessarily believe my daughter's a Bugara, because she does believe. Because she says she did see a ghost once. And again, I know my daughter's not a liar, so, I know she saw something. Do I know for sure? Not really, but I'm not going to straight up say she's, full of bunk. I mean, I raised her, so I know she could be full of bunk here and there. But anyways, so welcome everybody to the Den. So the first thing that seemed obvious to talk about today is Superman. And I have not seen it. I see Anton in the chat did. He liked it a lot. I am definitely seeing a lot of folks like it a great deal. A lot of folks didn't. The folks who didn't, for the most part, I mean, there's a few people who seem like they just really, really disliked everything about it. Seems like what I'm mostly hearing is like, well, there's some good stuff. I kind of like this, but the story's kind of a mess, and there's some aspects of it I don't like. I think it seems like, so my take from the trailers and everything was, it seems like very much a James Gunn movie. And I think from what I've heard from people pro and con is that, yeah, it's a James Gunn movie. It's James Gunn's take on Superman, just like Batman 89 was Tim Burton's take on Batman. So you could call it a Batman movie, but in a way it's really kind of a Tim Burton movie about Batman. Seems like it's a James Gunn movie about Superman. So if you really dig James Gunn and his movies, you're going to probably dig this movie. If you really are not a big fan of James Gunn and his movies, you might not dig this one. I'm at a point where I'm going, from what I've heard of it, I mean, it seems bright and colorful. It seems a lot of action, fast-paced, maybe a little too fast in terms of quick cuts, which I admit I don't care for in movies very much. But it does seem like it's not it's not a deconstruction per se. It's not an inversion of the character. It seems to me like it was done in earnest from the right place, but some people might go, yeah, but I don't really care for his interpretation. There's been a lot of interpretations of Superman, obviously, over the years. So when you say it's a Superman movie, you're kind of like, well, which Superman are we talking about? But I think I'm at a point where it's like, I don't, the high temp. Okay. I don't think I want to go pay a lot of money to see it in a theater, but I might watch it later on streaming just to check it out. I get the feeling that there's elements I think I might like, okay, I'm going to sit down, have some soda, have popcorn, watch some crazy stuff happening on the screen. And if I go in with that mindset, I'll probably be okay. But I'm also aware there's things where I might go, oh, I didn't like that, because I'm picky. I'm picky about stuff, especially superhero movies. And when I say that, I don't say that as in, I only like the highest quality of superhero movies. It's not that. I have interesting maybe tastes. And I didn't like the Captain America, the First Avenger movie that much. I thought it was okay. I don't love it the way some people love it. On the other hand, if somebody told me they were re-releasing the 70s Reb Brown Captain America TV movies into the theater, I'd probably buy tickets and go see it, because as weird and as wrong as those are, there's something about them that I just like. So what I'm saying is, it's not like I have the highest taste in films, and this doesn't. I have very personal tastes in films, what I like versus what I don't like. When it comes to James Gunn, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually liked it quite a bit. I did not like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at all. I didn't like it at all. And those are the only two James Gunn movies I've seen. I had no interest in Guardians 3. I just didn't. I didn't care for it. Okay, so I see Anton saying, I see Guy Gardner standing there in the corner, and our mini heroes but haven't been. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Guy Gardner was standing behind me, yeah. Back on the shelf. It's one of the. Was it? No. I can't remember if that was Amigo or an FTC. It's Migo style anyways. Yeah, and I can see a lot of people enjoying Guy Gardner in the movie. He's kind of like an Archie Bunker type character. Seems like a lot of people like Mr. Terrific a great deal. The first thing I thought, that from the first trailer I watched for Superman, and I say watched because at the time where I was when it came live, I didn't have the sound on. I was just kind of taking a look at it. And the first thing I thought was, man, this thing looks like a mess. There's a lot crammed into this movie. A lot. I'm not sure what the heck's going on here. And that seems, again, from people who like it and from people who don't like it, to be somewhat of an accurate take on the film. There's a lot of stuff in this movie. And for a lot of people, it's kind of like, I really wanted more Superman and not so much of the Justice Gang, and maybe not so much Crypto. I kind of would like to, for example, just for me, here, and again, I haven't watched the movie, so I'm not making judgments on the movie, but we got this engineer character and we got Ultraman, and me, I kind of sit there and think, did you need both of them? For sure. Could you have maybe just gone with one? Because I get it. If you're talking Lex Luthor, unless you're putting Luthor in the armor that he got at some point, in various incarnations of the character. I think was the armor first in the cartoons or the action figure. Anyways, unless you're putting him in that armor, right? And maybe that Hammer of Baravia thing is like a precursor to Luthor getting his own armor. Unless you're doing that, it does make sense to have somebody who can go physically toe-to-toe with Superman, right? So you want another tough guy character, or another physically strong, combative character, rather than just Lex Luthor, who's more like your mastermind. But do you need to have a couple different ones? I don't know. But it did seem like it was maybe kind of a little bit of a mess. And for some people, they love that. And for some people, they don't. I don't think anybody, from what I can tell, and listen, when I say it's driving people nuts, there seem to be people, hey, Raimi, what's up? It looks like it was written by Keith Giffen. Yeah, I think a few people have said, like, I could see Gunn doing a Justice League International movie and really making it work. I'm not sure that this should have been a Justice League International movie, per se. But at any rate, I don't think anybody is simping for this movie. I mean, I'm sure there are people, but from what I read, the people I read and kind of trust, and I don't think anybody's trolling on it. I think it's just genuine disagreements, but God, it does seem like some people are like armoring up and wading into battle over this film. And it's like, dudes, it's only been out a few days. Like, it's just a movie, for God's sakes. Don't worry about that. But I do think the other thing I picked up, though, and I've said this a few times already, it seems to be about, like, it's James Gunn's style. Seems to be a big determinant for people about this film, which did get me thinking about directorial style in movie adaptations. Because I was saying, this is a very James Gunn version of Superman. Tim Burton did a very Tim Burton version of Batman. If you think about Hitchcock, Hitchcock did adaptations of books, but people view them as Hitchcock movies because he put a big imprimatur on those films. His stamp is very much on those films. You could say that for, Zack Snyder. You could say that for Steven Spielberg. You could say that for J.J. Abrams. Again, whether you like him or don't like him, it's their style. But the movie that popped into my mind, though, when I was thinking about, is there another version of this? Is there a counter to this? Well, the one that came to my mind was The Rocketeer. It's a really good adaptation of Dave Stevens' work. Now, Dave Stevens, had a lot of involvement, even though the studio didn't necessarily want him to. He had a lot of involvement there of trying to make sure it was as close to his vision as they could reasonably get making a motion picture. Now, it didn't do great in the theaters. I think it's done a lot better post, being in the theaters. Well, who's the director on Rocketeer? I don't think it comes directly to people's minds unless there may be a big Rocketeer fan or a big fan of the movie, or maybe a big fan of this particular director. But the director, of course, is Joe Johnston. And I think his directorial style was more, I need to, the Nick Cage Superman. You almost wish it happened just so you could see what it looked like. I know they kind of hinted to that in the Flash thing a little bit, but yeah, I remember when I first read about the Nick Cage Superman, I was like, oh God, I'm so glad this didn't get made. I'm just so glad it didn't get made. Now I'm kind of going, wow, that would be something to witness. But I think when Johnstone went to do this movie, it was more a matter of, let's see the material and let's translate it to the screen. And it wasn't like, I'm going to make my version of The Rocketeer. You could think of that too with like lead actors versus character actors, right? Cary Grant, who I love, in every movie he was in was Cary Grant. Whatever the name, whatever the role, Cary Grant didn't do a lot in terms of like really burying himself in a character. And that's even true sometimes with people who are side characters. There's actors who, like, if they show up, what role they're playing. And then there are actors who try to bury themselves in the role. They're trying to become the person that they're doing. And that's kind of what strikes me with Rocketeer, because again, if you look at Johnston, you go, this is not like a nobody director. He did Captain America, the first Avenger, which again, I didn't love, I didn't hate it, but I thought they were kind of, I don't know. I didn't like the structure of the movie that much. He did Jumanji, he's done some pretty big movies, but again, I don't think you go, there's that particular, Johnston touch on that film. We don't talk about him as we talk just about him as what they are, We talk about it as Jumanji or Captain America or The Rocketeer. It's just different ways of approaching things. And there's no right or wrong of it, either way. It's just the way people approach things. I think the thing, though, a Lucas Spielberg guy, but see, I don't know. Does Lucas have a particular style that he imprints on a film? I don't know that he does. I think he approaches different projects in different ways. And I think that's somewhat true with Spielberg, but then there are certain Spielberg-isms that you go, oh, that kind of shot. There's a particular kind of shot that you'll often see in his films. Yeah, it's like, I think it just comes down to, did you like it or not? My tip for the day, my dad tip for the day is, like, if you saw the movie and you liked it, God bless you. If you saw the movie and you didn't like it, God bless you. Don't really fight over this stuff. I mean, there's fun fights that friends have, or like in comic shops where you're arguing over like who'd win in a fight, Tarzan or Flash Gordon. That's fine, as long as it's well understood that at the end we're still buds. Let's go get, some chicken McNuggets and hang out, and we'll maybe argue a little more. Man, don't get into a knockdown drag out over this damn movie. Or any damn movie. Holy moly. Like, I can see if it's a film that you extraordinarily identify with and you feel as though maybe you're being attacked when somebody, I get that, but this is just a Superman movie. Like, dude, just chill out. If you liked it or if you didn't like it, just have fun. It's like, let's all stay friends after this. That's all I'm saying. Let's all stay friends. So maybe I'll see it one of these days. Maybe I won't see it. I mean, I probably will. I mean, I'll be honest that there's certain movies where I go, yeah, I'm probably not ever going to watch that. I honestly, the Fantastic Four flick, I'm really not a fan of Pedro Pascal. And what I've seen, I'm going, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is just going to bug the hell out of me. The Superman one, the whole time I would, and my wife could attest to this, I would be like, Sushi Hut, hey man, how's it going? Yeah, and again, amen. Don't fight over this stuff intensely. Like, don't hate people over it. But my wife could attest. This whole time, I would be like, yeah, I think I'm going to go see it. Like, from the start, I'm like, I have a feeling I'm not going to love it, but I think I'll go see it. Give me something to talk about on the channel. I mean, I won't go to something if I know I'm not going to like it. It's like, why bother? There's other stuff to do. This one was and like every time I would say that, there'd be some little new release or thing that would make me go, forget it. I don't think I'm going to go see this thing, and then like a couple weeks later or something, I might go. I think maybe I'll go. And then there'd be something said or what. And I'd be like, I don't think I'm going to go. I don't think I want to see it. So, I don't have a view of this thing as I'm going to hate this thing like poison. Screw it. I'm just sort of like, I don't know. I might dig it. I might not. I might dig parts of it. So for me, it feels more like a streamer. I might do it on a stream or, watch it on a streaming service someday. Let me get the words out. But, anyways, I'm glad, though, that people are having a good time with it. And I like that a lot of the discussions are about what the movie is and not like BS surrounding the movie. I dig that for sure. And I get the feeling it's going to be pretty popular, with a lot of people. I think it's going to do fairly well. Although I will point out this. Okay, here's the economist side of me coming out. I see the things today. It's the best opening for a Superman movie ever. A solo Superman movie ever. With $123 million. So we're talking about the weekend. Of course, it's a 4-day weekend, so it's not really a weekend, but whatever. And this one article, though, it smashed the $116 million record for Man of Steel. Now, first of all, I'm going, beating it by $7 million is not smashing a record, right? Really? But you have to adjust for inflation, okay? the $2025, and behind that poster, I'm doing this, the $2025 is worth less money than a $2013 because of all the money they've printed since then, okay? So if you adjust for inflation, Man of Steel was about, I think, $162 million. So no, it beat it by about 40 mil. Adjusting for inflation, the 78 Batman made $35 million, but that's an actual 2-day weekend, not an extended thing we're calling a weekend. And it's in a smaller country at the time. But yeah, I mean, this probably did better than it. Now, that movie, though, made more money with each successive weekend for a while. It caught on. I think Man of Steel had a huge drop-off, if I remember correctly, in its second weekend. This movie may have a much better hold on it. So, but I think it needs to make in the neighborhood of $750 million to break even. It looks like it might break even. I don't know if it's going to make money, but it does seem like a lot of people are having fun with it. Hopefully a lot of kids will have fun with it. Superman is about heroism and about like being touched by that kind of thing. And can you take that into your own life? Can we learn a lesson from Superman about being a hero? And if some kids can get that from this thing and have some fun, God bless it. You know, I salute it for sure. So there you go. That's, hey, Fins is in the car. That is how amazing these streams are. I see Anton say, Fantastic Four to me looks like a lot of fun, but I'm a Marvel fan. Yeah, see, again, my main judgment for the Fantastic Four is Pedro Pascal gets on my nerves. I'm not blaming that on him. I'm happy to blame that on me. It's just he gets on my nerves. And I do think he's not a good casting choice for Reed Richards. Just generally. You know, even if I was a fan of his, I think I'd probably be looking at that casting going, Now, it sounds like because of Marvel and their history now, the MCU, they had a really hard time finding somebody who would play that role based on who they were offering it to. And I don't know who that was. So I'm going, Pedro Pascal, I'm pretty much a pass whenever the movie is. That's just me. That's just a personal thing. Again, I don't mean it to be a judgment on the film. Dude, it looks like it's going to have a lot of spectacle to it. Galactus looks like he might be pretty cool in it. I like that the Thing looks like the Thing. I didn't care for what I've seen so far of the performance as the Thing. It doesn't feel like... Ben Grimm to me is one of those characters in Marvel you have to get right. And the main reason you have to get it right is because Ben Grimm is a stand-in for Jack Kirby. In a lot of ways, Ben Grimm is Jack Kirby. And Jack Kirby is one of the two co-founders of the Marvel Universe. He and Stan Lee, Jack Kirby providing the pictures and plot, Stan Lee contributing to plot, providing the dialogue. That dialogue and those images are the heart of the Marvel Universe. If you throw those things away, you just don't have Marvel anymore. And believe me, over time, Marvel has kind of thrown those things away. They're modernizing, they're doing what they're doing, it's fine. But that's why you look at some modern Marvel and you go, I don't know, it doesn't feel like Marvel exactly. So to me, the Thing is Jack Kirby. You have got to get him right. Chomping a cigar, the way he speaks, and you go, well, people don't talk like that anymore. I don't care. He has to talk that way because that's Ben Grimm. That's who he is. Think of him almost like a Captain America character. He needs in some ways to be frozen in amber. Cap is from World War II. And he carries on certain values of that generation, and you got to stick with it. Even if we're printing Marvel stuff up in the year 2200, Captain America has to be that Captain America. That's him. It's who he is. You can play with other characters. You can't play, in my opinion, with Ben Grimm. He needs to be Ben Grimm. And what I saw in the little previews was like, that ain't quite been grim for me. Now, that could just be because of the trailers that we've seen. And maybe it'll be a fantastic performance. No pun intended. I hope it is. We'll see. So, yeah, Finns, I've heard kind of the same thing. I've heard some people absolutely love this Superman movie. But the negative side has mostly been like, no, I didn't like it, but let me tell you why. I haven't heard a whole lot of people who just loathe it to the depths of their being. They're just like, yeah, it's not. So I think it looks like it's probably a fun movie, and God bless it. And that's probably the last I'm going to say, because I have to admit also, I've just about heard about Superman enough at this point. I almost yesterday muted the word on Twitter because I'm like, my what do you call it? Stream, whatever you call the thing. It's just Superman. And it's starting to get into the arguing phase. And I'm like, going, okay, I just don't care enough. I might mute this for a week so I don't have to hear about it. So changing the subject. Oh, no, not changing it yet. One thing I know, Superman would not want you to be fighting over this movie, but he probably would want you to watch my video, Superman Year One. It looks at the first 12 issues of Action Comics and the character as he was presented in those, which might be a little bit different from what a lot of people think Superman is going to be like. That's why I put on there, was he a hero, a menace, or both? So if you have time, you might want to check that one out. So slightly changing subject here. There is a new trailer out for a Red Sonja film, and I watched it, and it didn't look terrible to me. It looked like it maybe had some aspects of classic sort of barbarian sword and sorcery stuff like we got back in the 80s. I thought the CGI on this one giant Minotaur Cyclops looked kind of weak. Didn't look that great. And again, I think when it comes to Conan Red Sonja, I don't need giant monsters that much. I mean, they were there in some stories, but I feel like it maybe almost works better when it's more smaller scale monsters or man versus man. But at any rate, what's her name? Matilda Lutz is playing the role. She could have been a little more buff. I see Finn's talking about Brigitte Nielsen. It's a good example. Yeah, I thought she didn't quite look strong enough for the role. And there is a little joke about the chainmail bikini at one point, which I will say it is a scale mail bikini, if we want to get technical here. But I didn't think it looked terrible. I think it's going to come down to script and execution. Is there going to be stuff in there intentionally designed to piss off the guys who want to go see a hot Red Sonja kicking ass? If there is, I think people are going to hate the movie. And are they just going to execute well? Are the performances going to be good? Was it well directed? Are the fight scenes good? There was one scene that looked very Lord of the Rings, Legolas, sliding downstairs, shooting arrows. I mean, it wasn't that, but it was kind of me going, oh, it looks a little bit fakey. And but I mean, it's going to be a little bit fakey because if you look at her there, this is not a warrior. I mean, like when we saw Lucy Lawless playing Xena, you were kind of like going, yeah, I could kind of see Lucy Lawless kicking somebody's ass. Now, I don't know if Lucy Lawless is really that tough or not, but okay, I could buy it. I could buy Xena, looks cheap. It did look a little bit cheap, but I have to admit, I think almost everything that's been made in the last 30 years looked kind of cheap. Because I grew up on stuff on film instead of on digital, and digital always looks to me a lot like straight to video kind of movies that were done on videotape. It's a weird thing, and I know it's a me thing for the most part. Not methane, the way British people say methane. It's a me thing. I think ultra high def looks cheap. I kind of prefer film that's got a little bit of a softness, maybe even a graininess to it, I think it makes for better movies. Honest to God. That certain amount of, I don't know, that lack of ultra high def makes things look bigger. And like, I don't know, the ultra high def, I feel like it looks like a bunch of people standing in a fake room in fake costumes doing their lines. And I want a little movie magic, which I feel like I get from film. I wish they'd have a filter for that. You can make digital look like film. You just pay for better software. Yeah, that's probably true. But there we go. That's the Red Sonja trailer. That was the other big thing that kind of came out. Let's look at some new releases that I found. Oh, I was also intending to do a little bagging and boarding while I did this with a few comics. And I got so into Superman right off the bat that I didn't. Lunch for all. Yeah, I could go. No, actually, you know what? I actually had a fairly big breakfast. I don't think I'm ready for lunch just yet, to be completely honest. So anyways, but here's some new releases. Let's get to new releases. Some things that I saw. This something a lot of people probably haven't heard so much about. Jonathan Pajot is a Orthodox Christian icon carver and artist. He has a podcast called The Symbolic World. It's very interesting stuff, talking not just about biblical stories, but old stories in general and the symbolism surrounding them. Oh, I know people are talking about lunch, and I forget. Finn's is like over on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, so it's still a little early. Veronica, that's a facsimile. That was okay. I think it was primarily printed because of the picture on the cover. So he's been doing these fairy tale books with really beautiful art in them. This one is Rapunzel, being done with Heather Pollington. She's doing the art. So if you're a Christian, of course he didn't see my comment. Oh, what comment? We're off to the, oh yeah. Oh, lunch is on the counter. Okay. Well, I hope lunch is going to stay good for another 30 minutes or so. But yes, have fun at the salon, dear. And hopefully I'll remember to comment on your hair when you get home. So at any rate, though, if you, especially if you're a Christian, if you have kids, you might want to look into these storybooks. So early access opens soon on this one, Rapunzel. But I'll tell you what, really interesting commentary on symbolism, though, if nothing else. I talked about Mark Christensen last week. He has a coloring book. He works in a Hanna-Barbera style. I saw this is something new that he has. Miss Solar System. It's on like t-shirts and stuff. He's got a really cool collection of t-shirts you could buy on TeePublic. You can see his little link tree thing right there, but it's I wrote it down. teepublic.com/user/MarksCartoonArt62. So this is Miss Solar System, based upon something that was in a Jetsons episode where George and Mr. Spacely are off judging a beauty contest and then get like completely destroyed by their wives later on. Corpse Bride. Speaking of Tim Burton, Corpse Bride, and this is one of his that I really do like. I find that I like Tim Burton's original creations more than his adaptations. And Corpse Bride, though, very cool, stop motion. It is coming to 4K Blu-ray Steelbook on September 23rd, about $40. This is one that we watch every Halloween time. I see Finn's is probably jumping off. Maybe try to reconnect. Cool, dude. Hopefully you get back. And of course, live stream's going to stick around. You can watch it later if you want. I don't think they're, if like a meteor flies through the window, it'd probably suck to miss that live, but I'm thinking that's probably not going to happen. I'm hoping that's not going to happen, in fact. But so anyways, Corpse Bride, we watch it every Halloween time. We'll put on Nightmare Before Christmas. We got like a whole collection of horror flicks that we tend to watch. They wore out the DVD collection of the Jetsons is a really interesting It's a really interesting TV show. It's one of those where you're like going, certain aspects of it are not for kids at all. And I don't mean it's dirty or anything, but it's like, it's a sitcom about really the adults of that particular generation just coping with the world around them. They put it in a futuristic setting, but it's like your boss is doing, being a pain in the ass and just all that kind of stuff. Like Jane getting jealous of something about George, but we loved it as kids. And the Flintstones was kind of the same thing early on. So that's coming out in September on 4K. And speaking of Superman, Amazon is releasing in September also a 5-film set, 4K, Blu-ray, Steelbook. It includes Superman the Motion Picture, Superman 2, Superman 2 the Donner Cut, Superman 3, and Superman 4. I'm not sure what the price is yet. I don't think they have it up for sale just yet, but that is coming relatively soon. If the price ain't bad, that's not a bad collection to have. I'm one of those weirdos who does kind of like Superman 3. I see its problems. I see its flaws, but it is Richard Pryor. You do have that going for you. And I kind of like the whole red kryptonite thing. I thought they did it actually pretty well in the way they did it. Superman 4, on the other hand, Superman 3 and 4 are the ones that I actually saw in a theater when I was younger. And Superman 4 was actually pretty bad. But, I did see some scenes, though, from it recently. And I'm going, maybe I need to watch it again. I don't know. I will say this. There was a lot of earnestness behind it in Christopher Reeve and his worries about nuclear weapon proliferation. So give him that, give him that. God bless him. And he wasn't exactly wrong. And one wonders why a Superman who can move faster than the speed of light wouldn't just rid the entire world of nuclear weapons and say, screw it. And in fact, if you watch that thing about Golden Age Superman, he would have. Absolutely 100% he would have. And speaking of the Rocketeer, it's just funny how this worked out. This is something that looks like it's going to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And, it's a little bit like Inside Baseball, but this is like a pin for Bigelow's Air Circus and Races. If you remember the opening, the beginning of Rocketeer, where they're at the Air Circus and the one guy ends up having to do Cliff's routine and all this stuff. And that's when, maybe that comes a little later, but it's when Cliff saves him. But at any rate, I just thought, look at that pin. That looks like it comes from the 1930s. And a lot of stuff that is designed to look like it comes from the 30s and 40s does not. I'm a big fan of that era. And I look at that stuff and I go, And I'm looking at this and I'm going, Dave Stevens, who was more knowledgeable at that era than I am, he was probably about as knowledgeable about design in that era as people who were alive back then. I think he'd look at that and say, yeah, that looks good. That looks right. So there you go. Oh, and also 1938, which is the year Superman was introduced. Richard Pryor teamed up with Brainiac, and he was supposed to be a bad guy, but after what happened to him, he did not want to be a bad guy anymore, so they took Brainiac out. Now, that's interesting, Anton, because I always thought about, they kind of did Brainiac in that, but they didn't do Brainiac. And I wondered why, and that makes a lot of sense. Oh, yeah, TV version of Superman 1 and 2. That would be an interesting thing to add to that collection. But, it is 5 movies, so they probably can't go too far with it. I guess I understand that. But anyways, I don't know how you would end up getting this, but I just thought it was really a beautiful piece of design work, and I just wanted to sort of show it off. So from Fantagraphics, we got a couple things here from them. Paperback edition of Peanuts Every Sunday, 1952 to 1955, of course by Charles M. Schultz. Coming out in October, oversized volume collects the first 4 years of Sunday strips from the Peanuts. $35, not bad at all. Very tempting. I have been, because I got these Peanuts books I have out when I was talking about digest-sized books, and I've been reading them and just enjoying the hell out of them. It's been a while since I've read a lot of Peanuts. I follow a person online as well who posts Peanut cartoons, and I've had a lot of fun with that too. And the dude was just really, really talented, and that's kind of interesting too. You see how little Linus is there. One thing I didn't realize till I started reading some of these is that Charlie Brown is older than Lucy, maybe about like a year older than Lucy. I think Violet, and I can't think of that other girl's name. I think they're the same age as him. Schroeder and Lucy are probably about a year younger than he is. And I would say that Linus is probably about a year younger than Lucy. And Sally's probably about a year younger than Linus. She might be close, though. You kind of forget there are different ages in there because at a certain point, they're just the Peanuts and they're all about the same size and they're all saying more or less the same things. I mean, you know that intellectually speaking, Lucy is Linus's big sister, so obviously she's older, but it doesn't really. Yeah. Well, didn't he also love Joe Slobotnik? Wasn't that the other dude's name? Or am I getting that wrong? I seriously saw a lot of Charlie Brown and myself when I was a kid, because I was always like lost in space, so I never knew what was going on. I always felt like I was out of it. Now I'm actually happy about that because the world around me is oftentimes very crazy and unpleasant. So I kind of dig that. But yeah, I remember I was definitely a Charlie Brown when I was a kid. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So that's coming out in, what was it, October? And then also from Fantagraphics, the Atlas Comics Library #7, Girl Comics. Now that was the title of a comic book. This is coming out in September. Collects issues 1 to 12 of Girl Comics. That apparently was a comic that sort of turned from being a romance book into being like an adventure book with like female heroines in it. So right now you might be going, well, I don't really care about that. Okay, but art from John Buscema, Mike Sikowski, Bill Everett, Russ Heath, among many others. So some seriously good artists from Marvel history were involved in that book. There's that Adventure Comics facsimile, where I got to admit, Crypto is nuts in this one. They sort of changed the character of Crypto, I think, later on when they brought him back. But the James Gunn version of Crypto, not too far off from that. I will give him credit on that one for sure. So Girl Comics, it's going to be $50. It's a hardcover. Not something I plan on buying, but I thought I'd show it off just in case people might dig it. And now this is a weird one because they provided a link to the website and it said, you can't access this. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's because they don't have the campaign up for it right away. I'll just go to like the main, no, you can't access this. And I'm going, well, isn't this like a commercial website, like to buy things on? But maybe this is coming out. Alley Oop and King Solomon's Mines, daily strips from 1944. If you've never really experienced, and now these Atlas Comics, I'm not sure if that was the Atlas Comics from that period that they're trying to resurrect, or if it was from some earlier period. Because the image, if we go back to that, that looks like something from the 1950s to me. And the later Atlas comics that were intended to sort of compete with Marvel and DC, that was like the 70s, wasn't it? When it was like the Grim Ghost, and I can't think of them all now. The Grim Ghost was the action figure they made that I purchased through Walmart.com that Walmart apparently says the box of action figures was stolen. So nobody's getting any. Cheers. I'm not buying stuff on Walmart.com anymore, by the way. Because they've done that to me a couple times now on a couple different things. So yeah, they need to get their shit figured out before I buy any more. But at any rate, So Alley-Oop, if you've never really experienced comic strips from the golden age, you might want to check into them because they're another thing entirely from the comic books that we know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The big comic strips were paying a hell of a lot better than comic books were in the 1940s. So you tended to get better art, but also more stylized art. And really, 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 Vince, really, really cool stuff. So I would suggest X-Men The Brood. Got this in a 50-cent bin. If you haven't seen any comics from the 30s, 40s, go check them out, man. Go to the library, see what you can find. Really amazing stuff. If you've never read that, you might really, really enjoy it. But this, I don't know when it's supposed to be coming out. I don't know where you're supposed to buy it, and I don't know what it costs. I would definitely be interested in it. Well, Alley-Oop, you're right. It is from, no, it is, that's a French phrase. But Alley-Oop was very American. He was a caveman character. Even got a song. What were they called? The Hollywood somethings. And you may have heard it. Alley-Oop, oop, 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 alley-oop, oop, 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 oop. Yeah, it's probably not that different from Little Nemo because it's from the same basic period. And he was a huge character. Very popular. And in fact, I remember when I'd go to Florida to visit grandparents, Alley-Oop was, and this would have been the 80s. He was still in the comics in the newspaper. You know, obviously a newer kind of version of it, different people working on it, but he still was around at that point. So yeah, it's a cool strip, and I hope this does actually come out. I would definitely be interested in it. But it looked like it said from acoustic learning, which again, I'm like going, that's okay. I don't think I've ever heard of that. So I don't know, man. Maybe this is a hoax. Maybe this leaked in from another universe, and I'm just going to be out of luck on this one. But I'm hoping that it comes out because it's pretty cool. Okay, now, so what showed up in the den this week? Not a ton of stuff, really, but a few little things. We got to a used bookstore that's close by. I guess I could take Alley-Oop down for the moment. So we got to a used bookstore. I found a couple little things. This is The Howard Hughes Affair by Stuart Kaminsky. He wrote detective novels about a guy named Toby Peters. I did a review of one of them on this channel. This is one I hadn't read before. In fact, as author of You Bet Your Life, that is the one that I reviewed and read. I've read a couple of his. He's a detective who works in the 1930s who ends up rubbing elbows with a lot of famous people from the era. He kind of works it in. He works in LA, Hollywood. You get the idea. I'll tell you what, just a little bit, reminds me of like Roger Rabbit, but with like real Hollywood people instead of cartoons, and a little less wacky. But so I found that, obviously good price. And then I have no idea, but they were selling it for, I think it was 50 cents. It was $1 or 50 cents. Texas Fury by Jackson Cole. So I'm like, what the heck? Says, let's see, Jim Hatfield rode into a land where outlaws ran roughshod and lawmen laid low. He found a gang drunk with power, running guns and stealing silver. He found himself in an ambush of cold steel and burning death. But Texas Rangers don't scare easy. When the outlaws came gunning for the bloody showdown, Jim answered them the Texas way and made it stick with hot lead. Dude, how can that not be bad? Wait. I think I just mixed up the Alley-Oop song and the Wally Gators. How did Wally Gators go? God, I should know that because I'm a Hanna-Barbera freak. Okay, well, anyway. So I bought those at a used bookstore. Now this I got via Amazon. Just came out. Gateways to Annihilation by Jarrett Keene. I reviewed his Kid Crimson books which are Westerns on this channel. There were 3 of those, and I enjoyed them a great deal. This is horror, so looking forward to it. A searing collection of horror short stories that seamlessly fuses right here and right now themes of war trauma, pandemic stress, religious terrorism, political extremism, cryptozoological mania, and the human hunger for a sudden cleansing apocalypse, while encouraging readers to reach for a bag of movie popcorn in the darkness of the night. Jarrett Keene is a good dude. Good dude. I like him a lot. And so I got that new anthology he did. Looking forward to it. Now, I grabbed a few comics this week from a 50-cent bin. There's actually kind of a funny story behind it too, but and God, I need to rebag these and reboard them. Something fierce. So I'm pretty excited. These are in super rough shape, but I got 3 Gold Key Twilight Zone comics. I think I said Dell on friggin' online before. I'm old. So really, dude, if I find Gold Key or Dell in a 50-cent bin, I almost don't give a crap what the condition is. I'm going to snag them. So looking forward to reading those. And I grabbed another Blue Devil. I've been collecting those recently. Adventure comics with Aquaman. Or if you're old, Aquaman. Ghosts. And Supervillain Team Up. So, pretty excited. They look like they're going to be fun. The other thing that showed up, and here we're going to do a little review. And did I grab a slide for it? I did grab a slide for it, although I don't really need it because I actually have the book. But this is new from Rippaverse, The Great War of Separation, Issue 2, by Chuck Dixon, Jack Herbert, Marco Lesko. So, if you've looked at, the Casca series of novels, I've seen stuff about that, but I don't know anything about them. Oh, yeah, you should, yeah, and the modern, maybe I won't dig it either. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm going to try it out, man. I know modern politics, sometimes you're like going, but I think if you're talking about the horror and unease that some of the stuff going on causes, I mean, that kind of makes sense. You got some of that back in the day, too. So, but I get you. And Casca, I've heard of that, but I don't know much about it. So, Great War of Separation, number 2, from Rippaverse. If you have read any of the Rippaverse stuff, you know that it exists in sort of an alternate reality to our own, where the United States has sort of split up. There is an independent Republic of Texas. The Western United States is kind of its own thing. The Midwest might be its own thing too. There's the eastern part. So you don't know all the details to it, right? But the Great War of Separation is telling the story of how it happened. And of course, superhumans are involved in all of that. So it's kind of fundamental to the Rippaverse, but I will say this, it's a pretty damn fun story. And this one, you get some good stuff in it, man. Like, there's some good fights. Essentially what it comes down to in this particular issue is the federal government in Washington, D.C. decides to send superhumans in to deal with Texas, saying, we're done, we're out. And that first assault doesn't go the way the feds think it's going to go. But it wakes Texas up to the fact that we need to have something to counter this. So they basically have some people who can create some superhumans scientifically. So we're getting the origins of one of the major characters of Rippaverse in this, Brian Solari, and some other superhumans. Are they going to live? Are they going to die? We'll see. They might be showing up later on in the Rippaverse. They might not. But they basically put this crew together. At the same time, Washington says, all right, we need more powerful ones, and we need to find a way to lift them up a little bit more in terms of power. They use like an armor on these guys. They send them in to take out Texas's oil refineries to cripple their economy. There's some good fight scenes in it. We get a little bit more background on Isam's mother, who I guess maybe I won't worry so much. Well, you know what? Just for shits and gigs, let's throw up spoilers. So if you read Isam #3, you know that Isam's mother is also superhuman. Okay. And it's a really good scene in that one. And we get a really good scene with her in this one. Just to put it mildly, Isam's mom kicks ass. But she doesn't so much kick ass like as in a warrior, but more as in a mom whose kid has been threatened, who happens to have superpowers. Yeah. So basically, and you even see a young Avery get involved a little bit too. All right, so we'll take spoilers down from that. But at any rate, I liked it. A lot of good action. The art was fantastic. It advances the storyline. There's some stirring words by Texas's, governor, I guess at this point. So some good stuff. I enjoyed this one. Had a good time with it. I highly suggest Great War Separation, especially if you are Kelly Ripa. Yeah, it's a slight difference between young Ripa and Kelly Ripa, but only a slight difference. It's just small. But if you've been getting into the stuff that he does, then I think you'll dig Great War Separation too. Rippaverse. Well, so Eric July, his YouTube channel was called Young Ripa. Now this is a dude. He's like a singer in a metal band and stuff like that, and he primarily did videos from a political perspective on things. And he is like an anarcho-capitalist. So even though I don't always necessarily agree with him on stuff, I enjoyed seeing his take on things. And then he also talked a lot about comic books. And so it was kind of interesting. He, at one point, one of his like streams was talking about like, yeah, I think I'm going to start a comic book company. You know, I got some ideas and I don't know much about the dude. So I'm kind of like going, well, okay. Yeah, I mean, good luck with that, I guess. And then all of a sudden, all right, I got the company. I got a warehouse. I've invested my own money. I'm not taking anybody else's money on this thing. I'm going to own it outright. Here's my first book. And he puts ISOM #1 out there. And I want to say it made $2.5 million, which he was not expecting. He expected, I'm going to start small and build up. 2.5 mil did pretty well. So it gave him an opportunity to sort of ramp up what he was doing a little quicker. But Young Ripa became Rippaverse. That's kind of the origin of it. But it's really an interesting success story in what he's managed to do. I've enjoyed the comics. Again, I know there's some people, I mean, they hate Eric July. Yeah, see, I made me mad. He wouldn't talk unless you paid him. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. Some people really don't like him. I like supporting new independent ventures in things. I mean, whether it's Brian Heiler from Plaid Stallions, etc. I like giving people a shot, and I've enjoyed what he's put together so far. So I'm down with it. But he does get people. Some people really hate him. There's some people want there to be a feud between some of the Comicsgate people and him. And some people have joined in on that, and other people are like, I got nothing to do with it. I just try to look at the product they're putting out. Give it a try. Do I like it? Do I not like it? And go from there. I mean, obviously, if some creator I liked, suddenly revealed that he was, a huge fan of Adolf Hitler. I don't mean somebody claiming it because everybody suddenly is, a fascist, but I would take a step back from that. And that would probably bleed into what he was doing artistically as well. But for the most part, anarcho-capitalist. I mean, look, like I've read comics written by people who were social. I mean, geez, one of my local comic shops, very left-wing. I mean, very left-wing. I wouldn't agree with some of that stuff for sure. I don't care. I go there and I buy comic books. And the dude's nice. He's always been nice to me, I I don't worry about the politics of a lot of that stuff. To me, where politics counts is when you go and vote. And the fact of the matter is, I'm going to go vote for somebody, and if somebody else is voting for somebody else, so be it. And we'll see who gets the most votes, as long as there's no, cheating or anything going on. It's like, and that's all that really matters is the voting, and then when people get into office, do they do what they were told to do or do they not? I just try to get away from all that kind of stuff. It's not easy sometimes, because I'll be honest with you, there are artists over time who are so mouthy and obnoxious about stuff, and especially if they like calling people names, where I just kind of go, yeah, I'm kind of done with this person. I just don't want to be involved with them at all. I've done it. I have. I try not to too much. Finn says, I don't give a F about H.P. Lovecraft was Xeno. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Lovecraft had some screwed up stuff, man, in him, I'm sure. But you also got to understand, people oftentimes come to these things through personal experiences or lack of personal experiences. Like I knew a guy who at one point in his life, he got jumped and beaten very severely by a bunch of young black guys. He went to the hospital. Now, he did not become like a raging racist about it, but he was a little bit edgy around young black guys because they'd beaten him. There are obviously black folks who have been abused by white people or by police officers, and they're a little bit edgy about that kind of thing. It's personal experience, man. And even though you could say intellectually, well, look, but it's not everybody, that's a tough one. I mean, it's an emotional response. It's hard to overcome those things, that kind of trauma. So sometimes people have things like that in their history. It's one of the reasons, not to get super Christian here or anything, but it's one of the reasons that, God doesn't want us judging other human beings, because we don't know where they're coming from. We have no idea what they've been through. God does, and God will judge them. Now, that doesn't mean we're not supposed to ever judge anything anybody ever does. Like, if there's somebody who, lies all the time, you don't want to necessarily trust them. But, don't condemn people out of hand because you don't know where they've been and what they've gone through. And for the most part, just try to be cool to other human beings and get along the best you can through this crazy freaking world that we live in. And maybe we'll all have a chance to sort of improve ourselves and, be better people. I don't want to get on a soapbox or anything here, but that's kind of how I try to live my life. But I get it. Some people hate Rippaverse, and that's cool. That's fine. And some people love it. And some people hate everything Comicsgate. I buy a little bit of everything. I buy what interests me. And if I like it, I stick with it. And if I don't, then I don't. And I just kind of do it that way. All right, here's my recommendations for the week. I've only got 3 of them this week. Partly because I just haven't had a chance to watch a lot. But so this is an interesting one from 1967. It's called The Solarnauts. It was a British pilot for a sci-fi TV series. And it's got a sort of a retro sci-fi feel to it. I think with Star Trek having been out at that point, I don't know that this, it's not surprising to me it didn't get picked up, really. Roberta Lee was involved. Now, Roberta Lee had done work with Jerry Anderson on some marionette series. And she'd done a series of her own called Space Patrol, which is very cool. It was kind of contemporary with, was it Fireball? Is it XL5? I like the Space Patrol one. It's actually kind of interesting. I dig the old marionette shows, Thunderbirds, etc. That's right off the bat, we'll say that. But so here she got to write this one. It was pretty damn fun, and I really liked the design on it. Very, very colorful. The guy you see there is called Logic, who is our bad guy for the episode. I don't know if he would have been a returning bad guy. Here we see one of the Solar Knots. There was an American and a Brit, so they were definitely trying for something that might break into the American market. That was a woman on this asteroid who was from like a different group that they kind of run into, and she helps them. I don't know if she was going to be a regular character as well. I had fun. It's like it's a 30-minute little, probably more like 25-minute little thing. Give it a watch. You could see why it didn't get picked up, but I kind of had fun with it, man. So that's a recommendation. Check out Solar Knots. This, believe it or not, was a first-time watch for me. It came out when I was 6. So it's one of those things where it's like, you just sort of go, oh, yeah, I know it existed. I just never got around to watching it. Pizza Flicks. It's Atomic Age Pictures. Oh, okay. That was from Raimi. Just see, wouldn't answer a question. Oh, unless you forked out money. Yeah. Raimi, though, I do understand a little bit, though, on really big streams. Like, I got a little stream here. I can pay attention to the chat without too much difficulty. On some of the big ones, though, like they're getting, hundreds of chats running through. And the super chat concept, that catches their attention. If it was really just a matter of if you don't pay, I won't talk. Yeah, that sucks. And I don't think you should have done that. But I do understand, though, it is kind of hard sometimes to keep track of all that stuff. I actually have been, I can now actually apply for the limited monetization on YouTube so that people could super chat me. At this point, I don't think, if you wanted to, that would be great. You can't now. I haven't applied for it technically. I can apply. If somebody wanted to throw me a super chat, they could. I'm at a point now where I'm small fry enough that I can see what people are saying, and I like to chat with people. All right, at any rate, Good Guys Wear Black, 1978. So, it's not up for super chats just yet, but at some point it might be. So Chuck Norris is not the world's greatest actor. I think we all know that. He did fine in this. I liked Ann Archer in it quite a bit. They did a good job of weaving the action into the story, I thought. But here's the main thing. I don't have a Patreon. I've never done Patreon. I've only done one. I only did one Kickstarter ever, one of the earliest things I ever did. And my goal, I think, was to get $100 so that I could buy some art. And I just barely made the goal. And it was art for a role-playing game, the Mystery Men role-playing game. So with Good Guys Wear Black, the main thing for me was that as we got to the end and we see what the bad guy is and what he's doing and what he's done, I was like, dude, you got to kill this dude. You got to take this guy out hardcore. I want to see this dude suffer. If a movie can get you, if an action movie can get you kind of like angry, and I was actually saying it out loud on my couch while my wife is looking at me like, what the hell is this idiot talking about? If you can get into an action flick like that, okay, come on, get him, then it obviously was pretty effectively done. And they did a good job with it. So I will say that I did enjoy Good Guys Wear Black. Oh, and here's a little mini review, by the way. Hold on for just a second. So I've been getting the X-Men Phoenix Saga facsimiles, which I think one to go. That's what I've been bagging a lot of this time. You know how, people will tell you that something is a classic, right? And you go, okay, I'm sure it's a classic. Yeah, okay, I'm sure it's a classic. And then you actually get to experience it. Like, my daughter and I got to go to the Utah Shakespeare Festival. Now, I had already liked Shakespeare at that point. But I actually for the first time got to see a Shakespeare play, Taming of the Shrew, done by actors on a stage. And this is like in a theater that is very much like, the one that would have been, played in back in the day. It was so freaking good. And you're going, yeah, that's why this is a classic. It is that good. Anna Karenina. I read Anna Karenina because Norm Macdonald on Twitter, way back when, said it was the best novel ever written. Okay, well, what the hell? I'm like 2 pages in and I'm like, holy shit, I think this might be the best novel ever written. Like it hit in a certain way. The X-Men Phoenix Saga is a freaking classic. Holy crap. It was a page turner for me. A page turner for me. I loved it. A silly thing to review at this point. Like, oh my God, somebody likes the Phoenix Saga. It's only one of the most classic runs ever. But like, dude, if you haven't actually read it, go read it, man. It's amazing. It's amazing what they did with that. Really, really good stuff. So can't wait for the next one. Yeah, now here's the thing though, Sushi, have you been to it recently? Because when we went, and this is a while ago, God, this is probably a decade ago that I went, they were building a new facility. And I'm not sure if they were going to still use the old theater anymore, which I'm like, they said this was like the last year they were using the old theater. Now they might have changed their mind at some point. I don't know. But I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad we actually went while it was still in the replica, of the Globe Theater. Any rate, yeah, it's a fun festival to go to. These, I don't need to rebag these, but some old world's finest. This one was actually pretty interesting. The anti-Batman and the anti-Superman. Because I'm colorblind, and at first I didn't realize the anti-Batman was in green. I thought he almost looked like the Batman from Batman 89. And then this was, oh yeah, this was another weird, God, they did so many weird stories. I know, if people say, well, the new James Gunn movie was kind of weird. I don't think that's really, oh my God, dude, Superman was weird for a lot longer than it wasn't weird. I can tell you that. Now, that doesn't mean the movie is good or bad one way or the other, but weird is baked into the cake with Superman. All right, here is my favorite movie, though, that I saw this last week, without a doubt. And again, it's French, and it's subtitled. It's an action comedy. I think it came up on Tubi because I watched the Fantomas movies and enjoyed them. It is called That Man from Rio from 1964. So I got all these suggestions of movies, and most of them looked to me like they were sort of James Bond-esque kind of things, and most of those at the time were, there's some are okay, but a lot of them are disappointments. If they're not, they're usually parodies, or, of the Bond thing. And I assumed, okay, well, this is probably what this movie is. It's kind of a James Bondy thing, I guess. I don't know. It was really fun. If it's got a vibe of anything, it's almost more Indiana Jones. It's not like set in the 40s, but there is some archaeology involved. Basically, the lead is played by Jean-Paul Belmondo, and he's really good in it. He's like this dude from the French Air Force who's on leave. So he goes to Paris. He's going to hook up with this woman who, is his fiance. And she's played by Françoise Dorléac, who is the elder sister of Catherine Deneuve. And she's really cute and really great in this movie. A lot of fun in it. And very sadly, she died in a car accident just, I think, 3 or 4 years after this movie was out. So she did not have a long career. But so he's going to meet her, and there's this whole plot with these sort of like Aztec, they weren't Aztec, but kind of Aztec relics that get stolen from a museum, and she gets kidnapped. And he gets on the trail. And that's kind of where the comedy action comes in. Ends up following her to the airport. He manages to get on this airplane to Brazil. Now remember, he's on a 3-day leave, and he gets on without a passport, basically. Finds himself in Brazil, manages to get away from authorities. is trying to find her. She's been like drugged or hypnotized by the bad guys at first. So it's him trying to track her down and then track this down. And it's got a pretty good pace of like action, and then it sort of slows down a little, and action slows down. I found it genuinely funny when it was supposed to be funny. And it was just a fun movie. It was a real surprise to me. So that's kind of my pick for the week, if you like the weird movies that I come up with. That Man from Rio, 1964. Again, it's subtitled. I know some people hate subtitles. I get it. But it's a good flick. It was a fun, and to me, it's like, it's good comfort viewing. Like, it's another one that you could just pop on, sit back, watch it, and enjoy. It's not super deep or anything like that. It's not mega high paced. It's not like bloody gory, any of that kind of crap. It's just, a bunch of people running around with a little comedy, a little action, a little adventure, a little romance, good solid flick. I enjoyed it. That Man from Rio. That'll just about do it for this stream, I believe. I will leave you with my favorite thing I saw on Twitter this week from an account called BC Comics. If only cybernetics could accomplish this for all of us. Amen, sir. I agree. It's really what I've always wanted for my life. So, I agree, Fins. If you will not watch subtitled movies, if you will not watch silent films, you are kind of cheating yourself of some really cool stuff. I totally get where there's times where you're just like, I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to read a movie. I totally get that. I've been there too at times. But there's some really cool stuff out there. And you know what? Godzilla movies in Japanese with subtitles are kind of a different experience from dubbed Godzilla movies. I grew up on dubbed, and I love some of those. Kind of cool to see them when they're not dubbed. So I agree 100% on that one, but I get some people don't like that stuff. Hopefully, maybe a few people will try it out. I'm serious. That Man from Rio it was good. I liked it. It's light. It's not like, life-changing. Oh my God. But it was just a good, solid, fun movie to sit and watch. It's on Tubi right now. You can find it right now for free. If you never use Tubi, dude, you need to check Tubi out. There's a lot of cool stuff there. So I think that will do it for this particular stream. Coming up this week on my channel, if I remember correctly, I believe Wednesday, I'm doing a quick review of a British TV series, which maybe some of you have heard of, called Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. I had a lot of fun with that one, so I'm going to do a little quick look at that. And I believe on Friday, I am doing a review a little bit more in depth than I did. It's a book I talked about in one of the first videos I ever did, along with a few other books. But it's called The Lost Continent, The Story of Atlantis by C.J. Cutcliffe Hine. Really cool book from 1899, 1900. That's kind of like proto Swords and Sorcery. Kind of like proto Robert E. Howard in some ways. Very cool book, some very interesting characters in it. So I'm going to do a quick one on that. Night of the Demon review. I am one of these days, man. Like, I got so much stuff you wouldn't believe. You know what I'm doing next week, the week after this. And this was just, I hadn't planned on this, but in honor of the Fantastic Four movie coming out, I'm going to do a review of the 94 Roger Corman produced Fantastic Four movie. So I got to prep that one first. But Night of the Demon, yeah, I'll definitely get that. Because I found it on, was it on, I think I found it on YouTube and on Tubi. Yeah, I'm going to get that one slated in pretty quickly here, because I do got some open spaces with stuff. I'll get that in there sooner rather than later. I'll promise. Why was I thinking, though? I was also thinking somebody wanted me to do the Hideous Sun Demon. Maybe I'll do a little, I'll do a week of demon movies. I don't know. Let's see. Fins, it will happen. I promise you. As God is my witness, I will do Night of the Demon. And hopefully I will do the right movie. Not the wrong one. So I think that'll wrap it up for this particular Sunday stream. I hope everybody has a blessed day. And if you're going through troubles, I hope they get better real soon, and reach out to folks if you need help, because we need everybody who's cool pulling together and dragging the world, kicking and streaming, into a fun place if we can. So until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. And I will hopefully see you again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye. You are welcome for the stream, sir. You are welcome. Bye-bye.